So it was October 8th. We had just got back from the Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival in San Francisco, and we got home around 8 or 9 o'clock that evening, went to bed. I just remember the room was feeling warmer and warmer, and we were like, maybe I should put the AC on, but it's October, why would we need that, right? Our kids were waking up and coming into our bedroom, and they just couldn't sleep. I remember looking at my cell phone at one point, and there was a text from a friend that said, "Are you okay?" And I'm thinking, why wouldn't I be okay?
The Tubbs fire was bearing down on the family's home in northeast Santa Rosa.
And we look outside, and it's red, very beautiful, beautiful glow. And it also smelled burning, but I'm just thinking it's a wood-burning stove.
Ecky's children saw bushes on fire in the front yard.
There were rings of fire in the grass in the yard, and then it looked like somebody was lighting off fireworks from our roof. You could just see a shower of embers coming down, and that's when it hit me.
Ecky and her family drove in search of an escape route.
The homes around us are already halfway gone. You can see their frames, and they're completely engulfed in fire. I see this deer just run across, rabbits are scampering, not knowing where to go, and just smoke. And we make a right, and then we get to a section of the road where you can make a left or right. To the left was a lot of fire. To the right was less fire. We drove through the less fire route. I was just mortified because all the homes that we drove by were down, and I just thought, well, my neighbors are in there and perished. And I was that really hit, really heavy. And when we got out of the fire, oh my gosh, never have I ever been just so happy in my life. Just felt this sense of mortality, like life is so short. And it's precious.
The fire destroyed Ecky's house, her instruments, her home recording studio, and 3 unreleased albums worth of music. Ecky's husband and her musician father returned to the burned-down house to see if anything could be salvaged.
This was a drum that he had, but the drum covering part obviously burned away. And then he found part of some cymbals and spoons. So he took these. I think he took this little milk jug. And forks and knives into the recording studio at Prairie Sun. So when we were doing the song Marching On, he was using these items as percussion. So that's pretty neat. First I was like, what are you doing with this stuff? It's filthy and dirty. It's like, I have an idea. I'm like, okay, Dad. So it's on the track. Yeah.
Stand up.
Ecky's song Marching On is on the benefit CD Out of the Fire, taped at Prairie Sun Recording Studios in Cotati. The songs featured on the compilation CD were written and performed by local musicians. CD proceeds will go to replace the instruments musicians and music students lost in the fires.
In the Oakland fire, 150 pianos have been taken out in the fire. We are somewhere between 600 and 800. There's no way to document that exactly. So you think about the American home. I grew up in a family, and I was told I had to learn how to play the piano, and it changed my life. So American families and the piano is just like, you know, apple pie. The only thing I think we own in America that's really ours is our music.
Mooka, Sarah Baker, and Alan Sudduth produced Out of the Fire. Guitarist Volker Striffler was among the local artists who wrote and performed music on the album.
I lost my instruments a few years back from somebody stole them, so I know what that feels like, and I can only imagine if you lose everything, or actually I cannot imagine what that would feel like. So the idea that Mooka had really appealed to me, that you know, you would replace something that is really dear to people, which is instruments become sort of part of you. You really do start forming that connection with the instrument. and you become used to it, things get much easier, you're familiar with the little idiosyncrasies. So when you lose that, it really is kind of a struggle to find a replacement, you know? And that's why guitar players like to buy so many guitars, because we're always looking for that next better one, you know? I think there's a certain group of people, artists, I would say, that are important to a healthy society. To look after those people, I think, is important too. Not just to rebuild the houses, but to start working on the soul of people too, you know, because that is something that gets lost.
Album producer Alan Sudduth and his wife Chris lost their Coffey Park home.
The guitar that I grew up playing my whole life was my dad's guitar, and it's a 1939 Martin D28. Over the years, I'd said, you know, Chris, if anything ever happens, I'm grabbing the Martin. When it came time to run, I went outside, figured out what was going on, came back in, woke her up, and I grabbed the guitar. If I could build a house for somebody, I'd do that. I could just make
This is
records.
just what we do, so.
Producer Sarah Baker wrote and sang lead vocals on the title track, Out of the Fire.
The arts can be healing. And blues has been used as therapy for a long time.
We're gonna make it somehow out of the fire.
The fire is obviously, among other things, incredibly disruptive to everybody's lives, whether that is, you know, just basic day-to-day stuff, but it's also your whole outlook changes. You know, you drive around and you still see burned out houses. And so if you have art, it's a little bit of normalcy maybe that people get back, and just something to distract them from the horribleness.
We are habitual as people. We are kind of programmed to go through life. But when really good art comes along, and you know what I'm talking about, it lifts you from your habit, from how you hear or read or see art. And it takes you to this whole new level of awakening.
Surviving the fires transformed the way Eki Shola approaches her life and music. Shola, an Ivy League educated doctor, decided to give up practicing medicine and dedicate herself to music.
For me, it can't just be entertainment. There needs to be something more. And so the purpose and the intention of what I do has changed since the fire. The sense of community here has been phenomenal. Even close to the year anniversary, people are still wanting to help and reach out.
I think the hearts have been melted as well as the fire melted things. I think a lot of hearts have been melted, period.